sea, now Death Star over me.
Good morning, Vietnam! Yeah, it worked about as well as I expected. Okay. Little late getting started this morning because it is not a paid gig day. 14 degrees at 7:30 in the morning. Press 1 now. We're looking at a high of 28, feeling like 28 this afternoon. That's really close to 30. Not a great night's sleep last night, not gonna lie to you. Warm in the place, still no air conditioning. Just before 1 o'clock, something happened, I presume in the world of sports, because a bunch of idiots out on the road at 1 a.m. began honking their horns incessantly for like 20 minutes. And it wasn't a couple, it was a lot. They were all over the place. And I'm trying to figure out, first of all, this would never have happened when I was young. So you can blame immigrants, you can blame the basic breakdown of society, you can blame the fact that Gen X has no respect for anybody that was ever born before them. I don't care what you blame. But 1 a.m. horn honking on a weeknight is evil. Evil. Oz has spoken. On the Wikipedia front, it says in association football, Leicester City wins the FA Cup. Now, that can't be the reason that there was horn honking last night, because one, I don't believe we have that many Brits, and two, England is 5 hours ahead, meaning it was only 6 a.m. there, so that can't be it. But my goodness, whatever the hell happened last night, it must never be allowed to happen again. The team, and again, I'm making an assumption that this is sports yahoos, because it's always sports yahoos. Their team, whoever they are, needs to rot in hell. And if it's the Maple Leafs, okay, the Maple Leafs haven't been viable since there were only 6 teams in the league. So I'm not particularly worried about them ever winning the Stanley Cup. The Maple Leafs are like Lucy and the football, and Toronto fans are Charlie Brown. And we all know how that plays out every single time. So I'm not particularly concerned if it was the Maple Leafs. If what happened last night is the worst that happens, and it probably is, if it's the Leafs, then okay. But still, save that for when I can close the windows and I got the air conditioning running and the fan is drowning out your stupidity. Because seriously, honestly, last night was one of those nights where if I'd have had a rocket launcher and a shotgun, there would have been some dead people. And you would have heard about it on the news, which I'll cover now. George H.W. Bush in 1992 in his presidential campaign did a whistle-stop tour. He went across the country by train. I think that has to be the last time that was done. But the question is, why was it done in 92? Like, they had jets? He was the vice president. He would have had Air Force 2 or whatever they call it. Train? Seriously? And this is the 110th anniversary of Parks Canada, which was the world's first national park service. So America had a national park before we did, but just didn't. That's a national park. There it is. What do you want to do about it? I don't know. Just leave it. It'll be fine. We had a service because, we probably had the service before we had the park. I bet you we formed the service and then we formed the park because you can't rubber stamp something after it's done, can you? God love Canada. Yeah, so originally it was under the Dominion Parks branch. I have to admit, I know that we did a lot of mistakes to certain groups in the forming of this country, but I do miss being a Dominion. I really do. There was just something nice about being a Dominion. And then after we stopped being a Dominion, we lost Dominion stores. That seemed like an overreaction to, as far as anti-colonialism goes, getting rid of Dominion stores. Even the TD is just TD now. They don't even acknowledge, they don't acknowledge the Toronto end of it or the Dominion end of it. Which is the thing I always thought was funny. Like, we went to Boston and the hockey arena is TD Center in Boston. Of course, that was the year they won the Stanley Cup. So in a way, Toronto did win the Stanley Cup. It was just in Boston. Oh, and in 2018, just 3 years ago, the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle happened at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, and they lived happily ever after, just like every prince and princess does. This is where irony Irony. Sarcasm? Which is it? Which would you say that is? Irony or sarcasm?
Sarcasm.
Judges have ruled. And there's under the did you know, British actress Mary Empress was last seen on a Cunard liner bound for New York. Yeah, apparently she got on the boat and then disappeared, and they just declared her dead. So, yeah, went for a stroll one night, and now she sleeps with the fishes. Well, that was 1921, so she's been sleeping with the fishes over 100 years. In entertainment, the Globe horoscopes. Now, as you saw from yesterday's and the few others that I've done, these are getting very, very specific. But keep in mind, this is a newspaper horoscope, so it's like 1/12 of the population approximately. This applies to Aries. You will need to be vigilant today, especially when dealing with matters of a financial or business nature. Now, it's Wednesday, I'm off, so there are none of those. That does not necessarily mean that someone is going to cheat you, but if you don't pay attention, you could end up cheating yourself. Don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat on yourself either, because you will never forgive yourself, and then you will have to divorce yourself and spend the rest of yourself alone by yourself. Okay, Ontarians can now buy rapid COVID tests at Shoppers and Loblaws pharmacies for $40. Now, what's interesting about these tests, first of all, Shoppers and Loblaws are I mean, it's the same ownership, right? It's the Westons. Secondly, these tests are the ones that the federal government purchased and gave to the provinces for free. So our tax dollars bought rapid tests at the federal level in procurement, gave them to the province of Ontario, and they were handed over to Loblaws and Shoppers, not IGA, not PharmaCare, not PharmaSave, not Pharma whatever, who are now selling them to you and I for $40. And what makes this more disgusting is the fact that Doug Ford's director of pandemic response, Emily Beduz, was a lobbyist for Santis Health, and one of her clients was Shoppers. So, conflict of interest much? This idea that the federal government is taking our tax dollars to help us, and the provincial government is taking that help and then selling it back to us. I can't think of any better description of the difference between liberals and conservatives than we're going to borrow and spend to help you, and we're going to take what we got for free using your tax dollars and sell it back to you. And these guys will still post a deficit, probably a higher percentage deficit than these guys will post, because it's tax and spend liberals, but it's cut and spend conservatives. And the funny thing is, cutting taxes causes debts to go up faster than borrowing, because usually when you borrow, you reinvest, whereas when you cut, that money just disappears to the Caymans. That is my problem with these people. And I won't be able to put that in because that will upset my key demographic of Barb. Well, I shouldn't put it in, but now that I've made that comment. So as Trudy's getting her workday set up, say hi to Barb.
Hi, Barb.
There we go. We actually got one this time. I'm going to wrap things up by talking about today and what I'm going to do today, because it's an unpaid gig. I do not have a Colbert report to do, because the one that I had intended to do is waiting for an item that I ordered from Amazon that is not coming from Amazon because the Amazon locally is shut down. So I actually have, I'll do a screenshot. I actually have a note from them saying, this item is waiting to be shipped. We'll email you when we know when that is. So I have to wait for that procurement center to reopen in order to get this item that I need to start the next episode. So I either have to completely rethink what the next episode is going to be, or shoot everything except that opening, but then leave everything up so that I can shoot the opening in the event this thing actually arrives, which I don't even know that it will now. I mean, this could be like a month. We don't know. So I can't work on that. I've got the final chapter to the journal to type out from the last trip to Paris, because I do a journal generally when we go on trips. I did less of one this last trip, so it's a little more difficult. I did less of one this last trip because I did way more video. So this is like 6 hours of video from the trip instead of a journal, but I still have, like, you know, between the photos and everything, I know what happened, and so I've been writing it out, but I've had to write it out from scratch, thinking back rather than each night, which is how I usually do it. So I got that. That's an option, but that's not going to be, like, there's no point in you watching that or having anything to video for that. I'd like to take my bike out and make sure I get the tires properly inflated, because it definitely wasn't right. And if I do that, then I'm cycling home again from work tomorrow. I will probably spare you most of that, because you don't need, you know, what kind of vlog is that? We don't know. And then the only other thing that I could be doing today, really, energy-wise, because I really do feel like I need to gear down, is further work sewing the Doug Ford puppet. So there might be some of that. You'll find out. You'll find out, because that'll happen next, in this part of the montage. So before I do any writing, I have to do research. My research is largely the photos, of which there are many. This is one of my favorite shots. You can rent these boats, these little teeny boats, at the Jardin Luxembourg in the 6th. What was great about this shot is it's the Netherlands and the France boat, with the Netherlands flag and the French flag. And there are very few instances in history where these two were fighting each other. And that just entertained the heck out of me. I got multiple shots of it, and then I did some video and everything, because, you know, it's I don't know why, but that just seemed, even, I don't think there's a single point in history where that was not a mismatched conflict. So this is just south of the Jardin Luxembourg, which is still this long park that goes all the way out to the Cassini Observatory. The observatory which they first looked at the moon Cassini around, I want to say Jupiter, but it's probably Saturn. So yeah, I relive the day. There's my name is Earl shot, where my eyes are closed. I relive the day through the pictures. There's another good shot. I'm trying to highlight the fact that there is a urinal here, a toilet there, and a sign saying a toilet in 50 meters. And that's not that uncommon in France, because there's a minute-long cleaning cycle on those automatic toilets. So rather than have you line up and wait and give up, they usually have signs pointing to where the next toilet is going to be. But that was definitely not 50 meters. Our favorite place, I think, on the whole, in all of Paris, because this was the very first Parisian park that we spent any time in. And so this is the last, these are pictures from the last full day that we were there, and our habit on the last full day is kind of a relaxing best of. There are no, generally no explorations planned for the final day. It's just, you know, grab some enjoyable food. I'm not sure what's going on with that person. So what is that? Generally just grab some good food, sit down in a nice leisurely park, do some people watching, and stroll around. Oftentimes, if we're near a neighborhood we've been before, we go there because it's just comfortable. It's just a nice, relaxing final soak in of the city before we have to do our amazing race stuff and leave. Yeah, so one of the final meals, particularly if we're in the 6th, we'll head down to the Great Canadian Pub, which was the first place we ate at on our very first trip 14 years ago? 14 years ago? 14 years ago. 2007, right? That's 14 years ago.
Yeah.
14 years ago. Oh my God. The kind of halfway meal, because the next day we fly back to North America and become resaturated in salt. You can see Notre Dame in the background, because that's the view of it. And of course, parts missing because of the fire, but it's right on the Seine. Rive Gauche, and that was the route we took. So that day is what I've got to now write up. Set up.
But the crazies on the street, give them guns and feed them meat. They shoot the Death Star down, dig a hole and put it down, 1,000 miles underground. game, it's no game. There's strange news from another star. I'm lost, I'm lost. There's strange news from another star. Give me all your stuff until I can't get up. Watch the whole world freeze, counting tin cans in our sleep. Submarines are diving deep. I don't believe in me, I don't believe in me. All I've ever done is tame. Will you love me all the same? Will you love me though it's always the
Jalapeno
same?
and cream and really when they say something spicy.
It's no game. There's strange news from another star. I'm lost, I'm lost. There's strange news from another star. Another star. Another star. Another star.
Wait, I'll turn that back. Nice and cool. This guy's.
In the spirit of the Powered Down Day, I hope you have a good day wherever you are. I hope you're taking care of yourself, because it's easy to overdo it or underdo it, and I don't think either one is necessarily good for you. But I hope you have a good day wherever you are. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.